Okay, please subscribe to this channel and give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. We are in Ein Yakov, and we're in Gemara Shabbos. I have using the art scroll. There you go, 33b4. We're in the middle of a story, namely Rav Shimon ben Yochai and his son were hiding in a cave. Why were they hiding in the cave? Because they had said some insulting words about the Holy Roman Empire. That's what they used to call it.
The Holy Roman Empire came after the Roman Empire.
Say that again?
Holy Roman Empire, there was Christianity.
Okay, fine. The Roman Empire.
Yeah, before the Holy Roman. Yeah.
Okay, before the Holy One. Okay, they weren't holy yet. I don't know, actually. Were they? When Rav Shimon ben Yochai was there, would that have been after? Oh, that's 323. You want to say 323 became a Holy Roman Empire?
No, it was after the fall of Rome.
Was it Constantine?
Oh, it'd have to be 323 when they took Christianity on.
Constantine,
So that's not the fall. It's far from the fall. As a matter of fact, we're still in the Roman Empire, just so you should understand. Shmuel. We're still in the Roman Empire, just so you should understand. Okay. This is still their galut. We're still in the galut of the Roman Empire. So call it the Holy Roman, the lousy Roman, whatever. Roman Empire. Okay.
It's not fall.
Right?
When the Western Roman Empire fell, the Eastern Roman Empire was still out. The Byzantines were still out.
Okay, fine.
In the Middle Ages, they reconstructed it.
That's what you get for homeschooling. They're smart.
They reconstructed it in the Crusades as the Holy Roman Empire.
Okay. Oh, that's the thousands already.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's long before this. But okay, so I'm speaking futuristically. Okay, there you go. Okay, so now they're in the Roman Empire, and they insulted the first opinion. By the way, let's understand that again. The first opinion was he was being political about it, and he was saying that who was it again? The first one to speak was Rabbi Yehuda.
Yeah.
Rabbi Yehuda, right. So he was saying how admirable the place is. They've established marketplaces, they built bridges, they built bathhouses. And so Rav Shimon ben Yochai's response was they only did it for themselves. They made the marketplaces so they could have the ladies of the evening have a place to make business. They made the bathhouses so they could beautify their own bodies, and they made bridges so they could collect tolls from us. Well, one was a positive way of looking at what they were doing. The other was a negative way of looking at what they were doing. By the way, there's a whole argument that goes into this, namely, why was Rabbi Yehuda being so generous to them? After all, they're only doing it for their own purposes. Whenever we build roads, whenever we do whatever we're doing, we only build it for our own commerce. So what does it mean they did it for us, for the Jews, right? So I heard this actually on Shabbos. It's an interesting approach. It says that when the Mashiach will come and the people are going to say, look, we did for the Jews, so the Hashem is going to say, you didn't do it for the Jews, you did it for yourselves. It's the same basically what Rav Shimon ben Yochai is saying. But the same, but still knowledge here. So, in the end, it's for them. Everything we did was for them.
They weren't kept from using it.
No, but I'm saying there's a difference of if I build a building, if I make something for you, or if I make a building and you get benefit from it as a side, right? So if you get benefit, there's a person who builds a tremendous building, right? Trump Towers. Trump Towers. And he says, look what I've done, I built Trump Towers. What is the purpose for Trump Towers? It was raining one day, and a poor little Jewish guy was getting soaked. So he jumps into Trump Towers, and he waits for the train, for the rain to stop. It stops. He leaves without getting soaked. Why was Trump Towers built? For that little Jew who had to get out of the rain. Now, Trump thinks he built it because he wanted the T on the building. But reality, the only reason he spent all that money was for that one time that Jewish kid, or the elderly person, whatever it was, had to go in to be protected from the rain. Now, he didn't have that in mind, certainly. Okay. But that's really was the purpose of Trump Towers. Mr. Trump, I'm sorry, that's what it is for. Okay, and now what happens is, so that's what, so when Rabbi Yehuda is saying it, he's saying, look what they've done. They built all these things, and it's such a beautiful thing they've done, because they built it for us. Okay. Well, they didn't. So now what happens is, in times of Mashiach, they're going to come and say, now the Romans are going to come and say, look what we did for the Jews, look whatever. And so they're going to, God's going to say, you didn't do it for us, you built it for these other reasons. And he's going to say, the ends don't justify the means.
So it's just a viewpoint. So
Right.
The
No, but
Romans
the point is the ends don't justify the means. So you think you're going to now say, because of the end, therefore, she created me for the beginning. The answer is no. God doesn't want to do that for them. But now what are we going to say?
yeah. So the Romans built all this stuff for their own benefit. Now, so we benefited from it because it was our land and we were there. So in other words, that's where
It wasn't necessarily our land.
That's where the
It
conflict.
wasn't necessarily. It was where they were. It wouldn't have to be our land. It could be where they were already.
I mean, he was talking about building in Israel. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been Israel, could have been anywhere. But I'm saying, we're saying they built these
But it's
things.
just
They
like
built.
I say, with the Trump Tower, the old Jewish guy, the storm all of a sudden rained. He happens to be able to jump inside, and the building wouldn't have been there if the Romans were there, if Trump wouldn't have been
Right,
there.
correct.
So that's again, it's a back and forth. They
Correct.
really built it
correct.
for themselves.
Right, but that's the point.
happen to get
right,
benefit
that's the
for
point. That if you build it for me, that's one thing, but you didn't build it for me. You built it
only
for
for you, and then you pull
yourself,
out this for us.
and then I got benefit. So that's what Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai is arguing. They didn't build it for us; they built it for themselves. Now we're going to get benefit. We're not going to argue about benefit. So this argument, let's remember what happened. This argument, God found its way outside to the Romans, and they were informed. So Rabbi Yehuda was rewarded for his praise.
So why did Rabbi Yehuda even make this statement in the first place then?
So if you look to the Maharsha, actually, so the Maharsha says, if I remember correctly, he was being political.
Okay, so that makes
He was
sense.
being political. He was afraid of them. What does it say? It.
Trying to stay on their good side. Yeah.
Well, he didn't know they were going to hear.
Why should you aggravate them?
No, he didn't know they were going to hear anyway. Remember, this was said in the privacy of the base matters, as it were, or in the bar, wherever they were. But it's
he wasn't expecting to get.
no.
He was just. In other words, he was saying that de facto, since they built it, we are getting benefit out of it.
Right, so that's what he's really saying. I just have to find it. Ben Girim, here Patach, Kavanah Maaseyim. So he says, he says right here. Really, these things by themselves, again, they so this is really how the Goyim are going to be able to respond in the future when it comes to the time of judgment, the Maharsha explains. Rabbi Shimon, so that's one thing. One is Rabbi Yehuda is representing what the non-Jews will be able to say in the times of Mashiach, when they're going to be brought to justice, as it were. Because everybody, when the Mashiach comes, the world is going to be, we're all going to recognize there's only one God. There's our free will, for the most part, is taken away. It's Yom Hadin. It's the day of judgment. So now you have to justify what you've done. Okay, that's what happens. You have to justify yourself on that day. So the courts will be opened, the heavenly courts will be opened, as it were. And now people have to come before. So Hashem is going to say, you built these places for your zonot, for your ladies of the evening. And they're going to say, no, chas v'shalom. God, please, that wasn't the reason. We built it for the Jews. So they could go from one place to another. They could buy food. They could do this. It was all for them. Let's not look at the minor things that we got out of that. The major thing was this. That's what they're going to do. So that's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is representing the futuristic argument of the non-Jews. And Rav Shimon is representing God's response to them. You didn't do a build for them. You built. It's true they got benefit. I'm not going to argue benefit. But that wasn't the reason. Be honest with yourselves. Okay? Which is, they say, if you update the Midrashim here, when we all die, we have to go in front of the Beit Din Shamayla, the heavenly court. And what happens is, we've all made mistakes. It's hard to believe.
Is that our version of the pearly gates?
Yeah. Yes. I guess I don't know what the pearly gates means. Is that mean the entrance?
Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure, but we have a heavenly court. I'm not sure what the pearly gates are, but I'm guessing it probably is
pretty much
similar. I'm guessing it's similar. So what happens is we go up, right? And now we have to stand trial. So Hashem, as it were, has the videotape or the DVD.
The idea.
Right, the DVD. And he throws the DVD of our mistake and says, go ahead, defend it. Now, we all know that when we've made those mistakes, that we could have done it the other way, and we decide for whatever reason we did, we're going to follow that. And so Hashem says, okay, so I do this, this, and this, so we have to explain it. Hashem looks at us and says, come on.
Do they replay the whole disc or just drop the needle at various places?
I am assuming just the various places, not the whole disc.
Yeah,
Because all you have to defend what you've done wrong, not what you've done right.
and you don't get any credit for.
No, of course you do. No, that you get.
That speaks
But
for itself. In other
that
words.
speaks for
Right.
itself. That's done. We only want to look at what you've done negative because, by the way, when I've done something negative, I have a blemish. So I have to get rid of the blemish. Either get rid of the blemish or explain the blemish. If I can come up with a good argument, but God knows the argument. That's the point. So who am I kidding? It's like when it's like when my parents would ask something. They didn't know what the truth is. What do you bother me? What are you asking me? Because you want me to admit. That's all you really want. I was wrong, you were right, and I should apologize. That's what you really want. So let's get over this and just get to the main play. But we all like to believe we can defend ourselves. The best example of that, and I'll say it again, I must have said it 1,000 times already. I was on a highway driving here from after sitting Shiva for my mother. And I had a truck. It wasn't my truck, it was a budget rental car. A budget rented truck. Okay, budget. And when I rented the truck, I didn't think to look to see if the lights are working in the rear.
You shouldn't have had to.
You're right, I shouldn't have had to, but I didn't think to do it anyway. When we walked around the truck, it was just, you walk around to see if there's any damage there.
yeah.
Not necessarily to look at the lights. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
So I'm driving through, and everybody, by the way, is flipping off on lights at me, and I'm thinking, but I have lights on. What are you talking about? I see the lights. I see the highway in front of me, so I didn't understand what they were talking about. Fine. I pulled in the last hour and a half of this 14-hour trip. I am so tired. And I pulled in Ohio, last stop before that would be the last stop to get gas. What?
Last stop before the end of civilization.
Right. So I stopped and I pulled in, and the trucker pulled. He said, "I'm so happy you pulled off the highway." I said, "Why are you happy I pulled off the highway?" He said, "Because you don't have lights." I said, "Of course I have lights. I see." I said, "I don't talk
You
about
should
it."
have told him I'm a rabbi. I'm a visionary.
So he said to me, "No, you don't have lights in your rear. Your rear lights are all gone." He said, "Turn your lights on. I'll show you." I turned the lights on. I saw. He's right. He's right. I don't have lights. Okay. So I said, "Okay, I don't have lights." He said, "You can't go on the highway like that. The cops are going to pull you over." And it was 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, the cops are going to pull me over. Give me a break. I didn't say it to him. I just said to myself, come on, leave me alone. And I said, I'll get back on the highway. I'll take my chances, as it were, and I'll go. Well, I did what I had to do, and I hit the highway again. Filled up the gas one more time. That's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to fill the gas up. Filled up the gas, fine. And I hit the highway again. Not 5 minutes later, woo, 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 pull over. Okay. So I pulled over. I'm thinking, oh, hey. Look at it. The guy said, okay, fine. So he said to me, license registration. Fine. Yeah, here you go. Here's the
Were you
truck.
wearing your yarmulke?
Yeah, probably. It's a yarmulke or a hat. I don't know. It was, the windows weren't. No, of course I had it on because the windows weren't open. So it's I had the air conditioner. So okay, he pulls me over, fine. And he said to me, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I said, "Well, I know I wasn't speeding because it had you couldn't go faster. You couldn't go faster than the truck wouldn't allow you to go faster." So I said, "I know I wasn't speeding, sir." So he said, "Well, you don't have lights in your rear." I said, "Oh, I didn't know." He said, "Oh, you mean when the trucker stopped you at the last stop and he told you and he showed you, you didn't know?" I said, And then I know I'm caught. Okay, now I'm caught red-handed. So I said, no, it's true he did.
You should have taken your yarmulke off at that.
No, I said, no, it's true he did. And and the truth is, I realized I didn't have the lights on right. So what I did was I just put them on, I pulled the whole thing on. Maybe I figured that was the reason. She said to me, did you check it before you hit the road? I said, no, I didn't. I said, look, officer, my mother just died. I'm just trying to get home. He said, yeah, you're going to get a ticket for that. And, and you need to pull off the neck, blah, blah, blah. He gives the whole thing. But the point is, he caught me red-handed, and I'm still trying to figure out a way to avoid the ticket and everything else. Of course, I get the ticket.
How did he know about the trucker stopping?
The trucker called him probably. The trucker probably called ahead and said, there's a guy driving a truck. Stop him. It's dangerous. So he probably informed me. Okay, it doesn't matter. Clearly, the trucker called because he told him I told him. So the guy knew that I was talking to somebody. But the point is, you try to defend yourself, and then in the end, you fall in the mercy of the court.
I think we should agree that this story never leaves this room.
It's on.
Oh my God! Well,
I said it so many times, not even funny. Because the truth is, again.
are you allowed back in Ohio?
Yeah, the ticket's paid. I don't drive the truck. It wasn't my truck. Like I said, budget.
They should have paid for your
They
ticket.
did pay. They did. They had to. It was their truck. But the truth is, but it taught me a couple of lessons. One, when you're picking up a truck, you need to check the whole thing. You have to check the lights. You have to think like a driver instead of a renter.
Yeah.
You have to treat it like yours. The other thing was that, and this is also something I didn't look at, on the side of the truck, they says, if you have any problems, call this number, toll-free number, and we'll be right down. So really, when he told me I didn't have any lights, I should have just said, okay, call, and I would have seen the number. I would have called the number. I was at a rest stop anyway. Come on, meet me on the highway, fix it up, and let me get out of here. It would have been better than the other way. So, okay, so, you learn something on that. Besides all the kapara you get, the atonement you get for being up until 4:30 in the morning instead of 11:30 at night. So I certainly paid for that dearly because I wasn't getting any sleep. And then I had to wake up for 6:30 next morning, that morning anyway for Minyan. So that wasn't fun either. But but I'm saying it happens. And so you're supposed to learn from those things. And my lesson was, if somebody tells me something, they're basically saving my life, because without any lights in the back, the trucks can come right up on you. And that's why they're all flashing lights at me. And I couldn't understand, why are you flashing? I have lights on. I kept checking my lights. They're on. It didn't make any sense to me. Once you told me my lights weren't working, and now I'm blind to them until the last second.
Other than being in two places at once, which is to say inside operating the pedals and outside looking at the lights, the only other way of doing that is, I don't know how it takes two people.
No, there was no lights at all.
Yeah, but it takes two people to
No. Once you put the lights on a truck, you'll see it lit up. All they need to see is a frame. They don't care if you see brake lights. Yeah. They just want to see that you're there. Then they know to avoid you. That's all. Or to stay distant from you.
The tail lights are out?
The whole...
All the lights lighting up.
Whatever those lights are called.
The entire cargo box.
Right. Whatever those lights are called. They're not called parking lights. I don't know what they're called. Yeah. They're lights, but they give the frame of the truck.
Yeah, clearance lights. I think.
Right. So that's what the truckers are looking for, and that's what everybody's looking for.
Yeah. Then you see there's a truck in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to know that. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't know so, but there's a lot of things to learn from that. But that's my point is here, that when you go in front of the Beit Shemayla and they show you that videotape, and so what's your excuse? Well, you try, and then you realize, no, as you're going through, because Hashem says, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. Okay, done. But nonetheless, so that's what's going on. So now they go to the cave, okay? And what happens after the cave is they're learning it for 12 years, and 12 years? I think it was 12 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they finally come out. When they come out, well, they burn everything up when they look at it, because they say these people working, they're giving up everlasting life for a paycheck. It's just not, why, how could they do that? Because after all, they were living in a cave, eating carobs from the carob tree that grew up miraculously for them, showing that Hashem will take care of you as long as you study Torah. Fine. By the way, the fact that they're eating carob tree, just expose a little more, is, and not meat. He didn't have the Slav come. He didn't have the what they call the quail. He didn't have anything else coming. He had the carob. So what God is not guaranteeing you that I'm going to give you meats and delicacies when you keep my Torah. What he's saying is, I'll feed you. I'll give you what you need, but you may not necessarily get what you want, to quote that song. Okay, but so that's something else. So now we come to the second one. Okay, after 12 months being sent back the first time, after 12 months he says, go out, your time is over. Good.
Is that a year?
12 months.
So why did they call it a year?
What?
Didn't we just say 12 years?
No, 12 years was the original time they were in the cave. Then they came out, burned things up. So then after 12 months, they got their jail sentence was over. So you want to say after a year? It's the same thing.
I know.
So what are you asking?
Before they used measurements of years before, now they're using measurements of months. I don't know why they're using different measurements.
Oh, they go back. Yeah, they came out and they looked at something and it would burn up.
No, he's asking if they said they were in there for 12 years.
Right.
So why didn't they just say, and after a year they went out? Right? That's your question? Okay. So I just want to make sure. Yeah. So the reason would be because the point is that after 12, it goes on the previous verse, on the previous statement. Mishpat Risham Gehenim Shem Asa Chodesh. That the judgment of the wicked in Gehenim is only for 12-month period. In other words, it could be less than 12. Some in Russia goes to, remember, what's Gehenim? It's a purgatory situation. Okay, I'm going in, I have to be cleansed. So the sentence could be for up to 1 year, but it could be less. So that's what it say, using that language, 12 months is no more than 12 months. So after that, since they were there for a year, which is 12 months, in a normal year, okay, so that's when the heavenly voice said, okay, it's time for you to go. So that's what they're basing 12 months on. The fact that a Russia going to Gehenna, that's the most he can be there. Except if you're a really bad Russia. Then you can be there for a lot longer. But then, by the way, when a really big Russia, the one who causes others to sin, doesn't, while they get out of Gehenna, they also never make it to Gan Eden. Their ashes are scattered, they're burned, and their soul is destroyed. There are people who can destroy their soul. Okay, so be careful when you want to teach people halacha or do something like that, and you steer them wrong. One could be part of that, never making it to Gehenna, never making it to Gan Eden. So now the second return, they come out again. So Nafku, they emerged from the cave and again encountered people seeking their livelihood through ordinary means. Kol heicha dahav mache Rabbi Eliezer. At this time, though, everywhere Rabbi Eliezer would destroy something through his fiery gaze. Heavy Maseh, Rabbi Shimon, his father, would heal it. Okay, so the son would still be saying, I can't understand how people could do this. How could they give up Chayei Olam Haba how could they give up eternal life for this? Well, Rabbi Shimon would heal it. He would see it, and it says, Archkel explains that Rabbi Shimon's advanced years lent him a more forbearing outlook on the world, so he would heal it. Amrlo, presently Rabbi Shimon said to Rabbi Eliezer, Bini dai la'olam anivyata. My son, the world has enough total devotees of Torah study in you and me alone. We need to hold others to our standards of devotion and diligence. Okay, that was his way of calming his son down. And so the Maharsha says, after saying, look at the Rashi, so okay, I'll follow his directions. And he says, where's Rashi in this one? Okay, so he says, Dar the Olam, Bosik Torah. Again, those who study Torah, I and you. Fine, that's Rashi. So it says, then the Maharsha continues to say, I just saw it. Wait. Okay. V'yoter nira lefaresh. So he said, the Maharsha says, it seems better to explain this al pi mashanema shekatuv perak lulav rava, and that which is written in the Gemara of Sukkah. Sha'amar of Shimon ben Yochai, that Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said, Ra'iti beni aliyah v'hanes mu'atin im shanaim heim anu. Okay, so it's just saying again that same sort of thing, that we are, as long as we're doing it, the world is good. Fine. So v'adei pani demale shabta, as night began to fall late Friday afternoon, chazu ahu saba, Reb Shimon and his son saw a certain old man, dahave nakitre medane asa, who was clutching 2 bundles of myrtle, and why was he doing that? So Rashi explains he was bringing them so that he and his household could smell their pleasing scent on the Shabbat. V'rahed ben hashmashot, and he was running home with them as twilight descended. Amrulei, they said to him, Mahani lamalach, these myrtle branches, for what do you need them? Amrulahu, he answered them, Lichvod Shabbat, they are in honor of the Shabbat. I'm going to smell them, I'm going to feel, I like to smell. V'tizgei lach bechad, so Rabbi Shimon and his son questioned, but could you not have sufficed with just 1 bundle? What do you need 2 bundles for? 1 bundle's enough. Okay. You want to smell it, you want to bring that pleasancy. Fine. Chad, so he said, Chad Keneged, Zachor v'Chad Keneged, Shamor. He answered, 1 is for the biblical verse that says, remember the Sabbath day, and 1 is for the biblical verse that says, guard the Sabbath day. Okay, I just said that, right? Okay, so Amalei Lebrei, hearing this, Rav Shimon said to his son, Chazei kama chaviva mitzvot shel Yisrael. Look at how cherished the mitzvot are to the Jewish people. Each nuance of the law they celebrate separately. Yatev daitehu, and they were appeased. Okay, so what do you see? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Which of these words, which is to say, which of these translations is in the 10 Commandments?
Zachor, Shamor.
Which one?
Remember and guard.
They're both in the 10 Commandments?
Yes.
As translated?
Yes. One is the word of Zachor. In the first set in Exodus, it says Zachor Yom Shabbat. You should remember the Sabbath day. And in Devarim, Deuteronomy, it says Shamor Yom Shabbat, guard the Sabbath day. And
well, why wasn't it translated the same way?
Because 2 different words. Zachor is referring to the positive commandments. Shamor is the negative commandments. So what you're really asking is why?
Is the negative? What'd you say?
Shamor is a negative, referring to the 365 negative commandments. Guard the Sabbath day. Guard it for not doing something. And Zachor is for the positive, 248 commandments. Altogether, 248 and 365 equals 613. Thank you very much. The number of commandments. So, but Zachor is the positive commandments. So that's why Zachor, do this, remember to do this, and guard yourself against doing that. So what's the real question is, why in the 10 Commandments did we change the word, right? God said Zachor in Exodus, and suddenly in Deuteronomy it's Shamor, guard, right? So why 2 different words? So
I have read a translation. I thought it was something like, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy.
That's in Exodus. But then you have in Deuteronomy. In Deuteronomy you have guard the Sabbath day.
The first reference, the first presentation of this was using both, was in the 10 Commandments. That was the first reference to remembering the Sabbath day and keeping it holy?
Yes. Again, the first one in Exodus will say, remember. And then when it's repeated in Deuteronomy, it says guard. It doesn't say remember,
Well,
it says
it's
guard.
not repeated. It's different.
Right. No, it is. The commandments are repeated. In other words, so the question is, why did Moshe write down a different word? Right? That would be the question.
Well, there's the other thing I was thinking here, looking just at the English words, that you remember, it seems to me logical that you remember the Sabbath by keeping it, and you keep it by remembering it. They are the same thing, unless you need to go do this or don't do that.
Which is why, you're very good, which is why the Midrash says that both were said simultaneously.
Oh, yeah.
How can you keep it without remembering
Again,
it? How can you remember it without keeping it?
We are agreeing. We are in total agreement, which is why the Midrash says that God said them at the same time, Zachor and Shamor, at the same time. But what's reflected in the total, you can't say it at the same, you can't say Zachor Shamor, that wouldn't make sense. You have to say Zachor Vishamor. So that God didn't say either. So what happens is, in the first commandments, like I said, is written Zachor. In the second, remember. In the second is written guard. So you have this separated. So what we learn from that is God said both simultaneously. The question is, why weren't they written down simultaneously? That comes into the equation of it was said at the same exact moment, and they're same side of the coin, if you will. So, but nonetheless, it's still there. So that's what's going on here. So since we have Zachor and Shamor, so that's why the guy had two bundles. By the way, how many candles do the women light or anybody light on Shabbos, Erev Shabbos? 2. Why? Why you don't just light one? You're just lighting it. Why do we have lights to begin with? Why do you need it at all? Come on. So you can see. Okay? You're coming home, it's dark. So you have to light the candle. So if I am just going to light a candle, one candle should do it. What do you bother me? Why do I need 2 candles, 5 candles, 10 candles? What do I need it for? 1 candle's enough, right? So what happens is, no, the minimum we do is 2, because 1 represents Zachor, 1 represents Shamor. So that's the minimum. So
my grandmother lit a third one to remember her own mother.
Oh, there you go. Again, some people light a candle for every person of the family, but the point is the minimum that you're supposed to light is 2, because of the 2 commandments, Zachor and Shamor. So that's right, it does get into kavod and owning Shabbat. No question about honoring and enjoying the Shabbat. But the question is why the rabbis ordained and commanded, made a takana that we have to light candles. And the reason was because apparently women like to move furniture around. If you remember the old Dick Van Dyke show. Right, so Dick would draw in, and he always tripped over every week he didn't know how to move it. Okay. He would always trip over what do they call that thing? The ottoman, right? So he would always trip over that. Very nice. But that really was why you had to and he had lights on. That shows Dick didn't look, okay. But that's really why you have to light Shabbos candles. That's the Shalom Bayit issue, that if she would have moved the furniture, the husband's not going to come in and trip on and yell at his wife. Okay. So, yeah. So now the story, we continue and we say, Shema Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair Chatanei. So eventually Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, the son-in-law of Rabbi Shimon, heard that Rabbi Shimon had emerged from a hiding. And what happened? V'nafki lape, and he went out to greet him. Ale lebei banai. He escorted him into the bathhouse. Have ka'arich le levisre, and he was massaging his flesh. Chazi dahave be pile begufen. When he saw that there were cracks in Rav Shimon's skin. Have kaibache. Seeing these painful vestiges of years spent in the abyss of sand, Rabbi Pinchas began to cry. Bekai natru dim atinai, and his tears trickled down from his eyes. They fell upon the cracks in Rav Shimon's skin and caused him to cry out in pain, because the salt from the tears aggravated his wounds. Amalo. So therefore, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said to his father-in-law, Oili shri'iticha b'chach, woe unto me for having seen you like this. Amalo. Right? Rabbi Shimon replied to him, on the contrary, fortunately for having seen me like this. For had you not seen me in such a state, bearing the marks of physical agony, you would not have found within me such great insights the Torah I now possess. So he's saying, even though it looks bad that I have all these wounds, nevertheless, look at all the Torah I learned. Tremendous. That's, by the way, just looking at the positive. Right? We see the negative, because we're not living through the entire story, as it were. So we only see the negatives of it. But the person is saying, "Are you kidding me? If I had not gone through all those 12 years, I wouldn't have amassed what I amassed." So you're looking at only the negative. I'm looking at the positive. It's an interesting way of half is the cup half full or half empty. Right? That's what it's going to. The Mi'ikara, for in the beginning, before he underwent seclusion in the cave, he have a Makshe Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Kushya, when Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai would pose a question, have him Farik le Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, his son-in-law, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, would Tresa Peruke, would respond to him in 12 possible solutions to the problem. Now, it's a good son-in-law, right? The father-in-law says, "I have a kaisha. Here's my question." So the son-in-law wants to show his father-in-law how much he's learned. So he gives him 12 possible solutions. Here you go. And no father-in-law wants to hear that from his son-in-law. Okay. So what happens? But in the end, after Rabbi Shimon's years in the cave, Kihave Makshi Reb Pinchas ben Yair Kusha. When Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair would pose a question, have a Mefarik le Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Esrim Yavim Paruke. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai responded to him with 24 possible solutions. Thus, Rabbi Shimon's acumen in Torah increased dramatically during the years he spent in the cave. So again, there's a positive that comes out of this harrowing story. By the way, to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, just to illustrate something. When the rabbis go to work, as it were, in other words, when they're thrown into the workforce or whatever it's going to be, that's when they become the most ingenious with getting leniencies or understanding Torah better. In other words, if I'm in the ivory towers of education, I only have a certain perspective. I'm not going to get the other perspective. But once I walk out and I see what's really going on, now I take my Torah knowledge and I start really honing it, because it's no longer
applying it.
Right. It's no longer theoretical. Now it's practical. And so when you have to go on to the real world, as it were, or you're stuck in a cave, if you will, now you're going to, one way or the other, you're honing something, because you have nothing else to see. Now you're honing it. But he's also honing it in a different way. He's not studying, again, with comfort. He's studying immersed in sand. I'm sure that you can get something from the sand too, up to his neck, and he's trying to save his clothes and so on and so forth. And then he's being fed by caribs. He's seeing miracles, but nonetheless, there's something going on. He's always in hiding, always wondering, are they going to find me? So it's not the same as when I'm sitting here in the Midrash Torah Center and studying Torah all day, or going to HSC and studying, or going to Colwell. I have coffee, I have tea, I have lights, I have heat. It's beautiful. It's not a prison. I'm not worrying about people coming to get me, as it were.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Well, you just added it.
Okay.
So, if you think we're safe, they did in Pittsburgh also.
I'm not saying I'm safe from every nut out there, but nobody's hunting me. Nobody's hunting me.
That you know of.
Okay, I'm not gonna. If I live like that, it'll be a horrible life. So the odds are that nobody's hunting me personally. They might be hunting me as a Jew. I learned something a long time ago when I was in Moncton, New Brunswick. For all the Monktonians out there, Monktonians, okay. Like Bostonians, Monktonians. Okay. There was a person in the shul who would fight with the rabbi. It didn't matter who the rabbi was. That was
his job.
That was his job, to fight with the rabbi. And I think now, I'm pretty sure he's passed away at this point. May he rest in peace. But that was his thing. He would like the rabbi, and then on a dime he would turn around and stab the rabbi in the back, as it were. Love the guy. Okay.
But not about religious interpretation. You don't mean that.
No.
All right.
No. He had his ways. He had his methodologies. But that was what. And when he first did it to me, I was shocked because I haven't done it. I was a young kid. I wasn't married. I was just there. But I was shocked. I was thinking, that doesn't make sense. Well, I didn't do anything this time. Sometimes I deserve what I get, but this time I didn't deserve it. Okay. And I realized he's not against Fred Nebel. He's against the rabbi. I happen to be fulfilling that role. So as a result, he's against me. But he doesn't even know me to be against me. We never became friends. I never stayed at the house like that. So that was what I learned. And so for these nuts out there, they don't care about Fred Nebel. They care I'm a Jew, and they want to shoot me for a Jew. Okay, fine. I'm not going to live my life based upon some Michiganer with a gun who wants to kill Jews. The same way as I would hope that the African Americans of the United States are not going to sit there every single day that there's some KKK guy trying to kill them. It would be a ridiculous way to live. So, but if I do something against you, so then I have to worry. He spoke against the Roman government. And so the government was against him. The government was, he's like the guy who WikiLeaks, whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah,
WikiLeaks, I forget his name. But that guy is being hunted. Oh, is this John? Oh, it's still, no, Sam, I'm falling asleep. Okay. No, it's usually you falling. It's switched off. Okay, it's interesting.
They're sitting in different places.
No, it's different keyboard. Okay. It's confused me. Okay, nonetheless, but it's interesting. He's totally making his opposite this time. But that's what's going on. See, that's what I'm saying.
The sun never sets on the two of them,
Okay. So let's go on. Okay, I have a few more minutes. Okay. So now, Amar. So Reb Shimon said, Nisa, since a miracle performed to rescue me, I shall go and remedy something to benefit the community. Okay, he wants to give a sefer da. Very nice. So Ben Yehoda Yada suggests in 38. He suggests a rationale for the response of Reb Shimon. Earlier, the Gemara had taught that when God performs a miracle on someone's behalf, that person's heavenly merit is diminished as a result. Let's not forget that, okay? The person has received a reward for some of his good deeds in this world and can expect to receive less of this reward in the world to come because I've used my capital. Okay? When Rabbi Shimon ben Bar Yochai thought, I read that wrong. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, though, sought to mitigate this effect by benefiting the community in response to the miracle performed for him. That is, he hoped that his service to the community would evoke a response in kind from the Almighty, just as Rav Shimon had acted altruistically, benefiting others in a pure act of kindness, so too. Perhaps Hashem would allow the miracle performed to remain a pure act of kindness to Rav Shimon, and payment would not be demanded from Rav Shimon's heavenly merits. It's interesting that Alshko wants to argue altruistically. I'm doing something altruistically. If I have a desire, namely that God's going to look at my act and see that I did this act altruistically, it's not altruistic because I want something from God. Maybe I'm not doing it altruistically to the person. I don't expect anything from the person. Well, by the way, an example of that would be when I attend a funeral. When I go to Menachem Avram, when I go to Comforter of Mourner, I am doing that altruistically because I don't want them to be able to do it to me. Right?
You don't want what?
If I go to visit a mourner, I go to a funeral.
And
right?
it's someone you like or respected, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm doing, that's what they call a chesed shel emet, an act of true kindness, because I don't want to be paid back for that. I don't want them to come to my funeral.
Do it something to get something. Yeah.
Right. I don't want that. I want to live forever. So that's it. So I want to live forever. I want my family to live, everybody to be healthy. I don't want anything in return for that. On the other hand, if I would give $100 to set XYZ HOC for a charity, for their capital fund, I would want, when I say, hey guys, what happened in a capital campaign in Midwest Torah Center, I would want and expect them to give $100 back to me. Let's have at least an equal exchange. I would expect that. That's not altruistic. That's, paying forward, if you will. Okay? But when I'm doing something that I absolutely do not want to be paid back for, I never, when a person is coming to get a check for a poor person, I never want to be in that position. So that's chesed shel emet. That's the total chesed shel emet. I'm not interested in getting anything back from you, as long as you be healthy and keep walking, as it were. So he said, maybe I'll do that, and so then God will have compassion on me, and He'll give me back. He'll give me some free credit, as it were. So, Dichsiv, how does he know this is going to work? For indeed, the Torah relates that when Jacob was saved from harm at the hand of Esav, the verse states, "V'yavo Yakov shalem," that Yakov came and arrived intact. V'yam Rav said this means that miraculously he arrived intact in all respects. Shalem b'gufo, he was intact in terms of his body, and shalem b'mono, intact in terms of his wealth. Even though he had given all of his all these animals as a gift to his brother, he still came with all his wealth. Shalem b'Torah, and intact in terms of his Torah knowledge. And he explains that his wealth was intact despite having given a large gift to Esav. The injury he sustained in his battle with the angel had been miraculously healed, and he did not forget any of the Torah he had studied despite his long and arduous travels. Okay, very nice. And so that's number one. Then it says, Vayichan pnei ha'ir, and he immediately after this, the same verse states, and he encamped before the city. Amar Rav, which, by the way, that means the first part of the verse, that Jacob arrived intact at the city of Shechem, implies that Jacob actually entered Shechem. The end of the verse, he encamped before the city, however, implies that he did not yet enter the city, but instead camped on its outskirts. Thus, the Gemara ascribes a homiletical meaning to the end of the verse, relating the word Vayichan. He encamped to the word Chen, gracious. It's a play on words. As such, the verse is expounded, stating he was gracious to the face of the city, namely, he improved the city in some way. So, Amarav, the next one is Matbea Tiken Lahem. Our forefather Jacob established a new coin for the city. Coins would often bear an imprint distinct to that particular city, such as its seal. Thus the words Pnei Ha'ir, the face of the city, hint at the notion that the way Jacob acted graciously to the city was by minting a new coin. The creation of the new currency was of substantial benefit to the people, to the city, for previously the people had used the coins of the other kingdoms. Now the city had its own coins, its political stature and prestige was increased. So that's, we want to increase the prestige of South Bend, we had to make a new coin for South Bend. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel said, Shavakim Tikein Lahem, he established marketplaces for them. Rav Yochanan Amar, Merchatzo Tikein Lahem, he established bathhouses for them. You notice a pattern here, by the way?
Wow.
Come on.
He's doing
With the Romans.
Yeah, okay. We thus find that Jacob, well, he wasn't Rome at that point. It was way before Rome was a place, right? But that could be why Romans were doing this.
Oh, I see.
You're going backwards, right? So we thus find that Jacob expressed his thanks for a miracle by establishing some sort of municipal benefit to the community, and it was this precedent Reb Shimon ben Yochai sought to follow, and we'll have to stop there. So we're still in the narrative, but that's basically what's going on. He was setting up the system so that he did kindness because he came complete. He wants to thank God for the miracles. So what he does is he sets up a marketplace. He gets a new coinage. He sets or he sets a bathhouse, or all three, whatever the case is going to be. But he was trying to help out the people as a show of gratitude. So the same way when we find ourselves surviving a miracle, an operation, whatever it's going to be, what we do is we give some sort of suda hodah. We make a kiddush. We donate books. It's a whole bunch of things that we also do because we want people to have merit based upon our thanksgiving to God. And that all comes from here, by the way. Okay.
What is that large blank space on